They've been uploading these like crazy. If I had to guess, they're trying to get all the characters out before fake reaction is crazy. If it was supposed to be a fake reaction, why would I look at the Magneto one, not the Magik one? The character I'm gonna actually play. If I had to guess, since the beta's on the 24th, they're trying to drop all these quick before the beta. They're trying to drop all these guys quick before the beta, all the characters that are playable at least. So we're definitely gonna get one for Blade and we're gonna get one for Green Goblin. Ooh, nice. But they're probably gonna drop those like last, if I had to guess, because those are the two we've barely seen gameplay on. Anyway, I'm lotioned up. Let's go. Magik.
I used to think I'd hate fighting you,
Jesus.
but right now, I'm embarrassed for you.
Ooh, look at these colors. Gold. Got the silver. This is red and black. Her theme sounds fire too.
I'm embarrassed for you.
Queen of Limbo.
Okay. Let's get started.
Her normals are long. Though the sword ones, the punch ones and kick aren't that crazy. Because I tried her at Evo Japan. Her normals are egregious. Colors, well, you know what I'm talking about. Flames of hell. This character is sick. Dark portal. So she can spawn portals in and she can shoot like projectiles into her portal. Demon fire, demon flame, the soul sword. She can like shoot shit out of it and go through them as well.
That killed some time.
Wait, what did it say? Hold on. Wait a second. Position of portal depends on direction input. Okay, I didn't know that. I just can use teleport when near a dark portal and they interact with their moves. Yeah. Ease portal. Yeah, she can go through it like that. Pressing U near the dark portal warps you near their opponent. You can appear in different locations depending on the direction input. So you can do it backwards, upwards, downwards, appear on the ground. Performing this move is known as a teleport. Up forward teleports you over there. Near portal. Cool. Yeah, he hit down, so he's on the floor. Hey, you're gonna have to memorize all these. But you used to that for like a day.
I know, too easy.
It's a lot of mix.
But you've got to do the basics.
Teleport slash. Pressing you near the teleport, perform an attack while warping. Attack varies depending on if you appear on the ground or in the air. So she does like a dive kick out the sky. Cool. Demon fire. The projectile comes in contact with a dark portal or reappears near opponent again. M and H goes through. What? I didn't know that. Wait, that's crazy. The medium and heavy version goes through the enemy and can go inside of a portal. And it can reappear again. Oh, that's pretty cool. It will like juggle. Damn, our OST is fire. Yo, can I get Psylocke already, bro? With the trolling, bro. Okay, so DP input. Against invincibility and air attack powered through. Aerial stuff. Your landing or attack, it can be followed up with a teleport. Can't use it again until landing. So you can uppercut someone and then teleport if it connects. So you can cancel into a teleport. Yeah, Comic-Con is on the 24th through like the 26th, which is literally the same time as this beta, by the way, that's about to happen. So I'm if I had to guess, they're going to announce DLC if I had to guess. No, you are not getting Luna Snow. Hell no. She's not in the game. Hell no. We do not need no Luna Snow. Cancel instant teleport. Heavy version trigger a wall break. We need Daredevil. We need Psylocke. We need hype. We need hype characters for launch.
Demon flame.
Demon Flame.
You can't fight a demon.
Nice.
Burn. You'll also see you burn.
Generates a flame pillar from the ground. If projectile comes in contact with dark portal, reappears on opponent's feet again.
Flame.
H version does 2 of them. The EX version, yeah.
Just playing? Take this
Stuns him in the air
serious.
for longer if I guess. It's her assist. Her down assist is DP, of course. Back assist is the flame pillars. Oh, interesting.
I'm on it, and I'm starving for your
Super
soul.
skill. Soul Sword Sacrifice. She performs a series of attacks. If magic's near dark portal, holding an input for Soul Sword Sacrifice, warp her near the opponent again. Damn. Okay, this is what it looks like she holds it. Wait, what? What in tarnation? Oh, it warps her near to attack. Okay, not at the end of it. I'm about to say like what? Yeah, see, she can just use the super into a portal and it'll teleport you to the enemy. Okay, I see. Damn, this character is sick. I'm not gonna lie. There's actually a world where I play Magik more instead of Blade. If I don't like Blade, I'm obviously gonna main Magik. But I doubt I doubt I wouldn't like Blade. After performing transform into Dark Child, follow with Queen of Limbo. The Dark Child state lasts duration of time based on amount of gauge spent. So it takes all her gauge. So this is 100. Ooh. That does take a while to go down. Look at that. 150 max. Cool. The different button inputs results in no change during Dark Child. While in Dark Child, the attack is more powerful than the H version and costs no skill gauge. Standard H version skills cost 25. Oh, look how long he's in the air for after that DP. What's up, Koopa? Damn. They are definitely adding miles. They are for sure gonna add miles. When? I don't know. Damn, all of her attacks are enhanced. The pillars is 2 pillars. DP hit stuns for longer. Damn. Oh, he landed on his back. Look at that. Oh yeah, you can definitely combo off that. Probably run up and combo off that. Wall splats him for longer too. If an attack whiffs when nearby a dark portal, teleport. What? It will still be possible to teleport. While in Dark Child state, you can cancel your dark portals or recovery animation. Oh, that's fucking messed up. Look at this. Okay, so look at this. You can swing. Oh, you swing whiffed, go into the portal. That is messed up. Your super changes. Soul Sword Sacrifice costs 0 skill gauge and performs a different follow-up attack. After this move, Dark Child state ends though. Oh, so you want to use this at like the end of it. Cool. Okay, the Dark Child gauge is not displayed when Magik is in reserve, but it continues to decrease while her Dark Child form and her Dark Child form will end. Okay, so you can't just enter Dark Child form and switch characters. Okay, cool. Well, not cool for me, but whatever. It ends once the gauge reaches 0. If there is still gauge remaining when Magik is in reserve, Magik will re-enter a match in a Dark Child form during an assist or tag and remain in Dark Child form until the gauge depletes. Are her assists enhanced though? I think it is. Oh, I think it is. I wish the symbol at the top left would change that she's in Dark Child though. Like the artwork at the top left. So you would know if it ran out or not. Oh well. Queen of Limbo. Only available during Dark Child state. After slashing in front of her, perform a follow-up attack. Dark Child state ends after using Queen of Limbo. When performed through a Link ultimate, automatically follows up. Okay, yeah, if you do an auto combo, it'll automatically do it, yeah. Damn. Hit you with that Sero. Queen of Limbo. Ultimate skill. Oh, it's just the auto combos. Okay. Wait, can you use it from afar? Probably not, because she's using a sword. Yeah, it does cut some metal into mine. So can she only use this ult in her install? Hold on. Oh no, it just activates it. No, it does not. Wait, what? Can she only use this in the ult? Or in the install? In Dark Child form? The ultimate install? Oh, Black Panther has the same thing? Really? Well, I didn't know that. Interesting. I did not know that. Wow. Oh, let me choose to give it a Tokon until I'm done. Ooh, DP. Oh, the portal set up. No, no, why is it lagging? No. What the fuck? Sage, thanks for the raid. Why is it lagging, bro? Sage lagged my damn thing. I was looking at the magic stuff, man. Okay, thanks for the raid, Sage. Sage made with the fattest of asses. Fattest of asses of raids. Appreciate it, dude. Okay, let me look at this. Ooh. You set up the portal while falling. The hell pillar hits twice into a fireball. Nice. Nah, this character looks sick. There's actually a world where instead of maining Blade, I main Magik, bro. This is why she's gonna be my secondary, bro. If I don't like Blade, I'm playing Magik. And for what I'm looking at, this character looks too sick. Ooh, that Wolverine assist. Dark Child mid combo. Ooh. Portal deep in the sky. Is it still up there? Damn. Not the milkman. Wait, what? Nah, this character's gas. Magik looks so crazy. This character's gas. What's up, Wani? Cut the cap. You're not dropping Blade, bro. You can't tell me this character don't look sick though. There's no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's no way I don't like Blade, but like if there's a universe where Blade, where I don't like Blade, I'm playing Magik instead. But yeah, I am gonna play both. I just don't know who my third and fourth are yet. But I want Psylocke, but she's not here yet. Nah, her combos look sick. Her combos look sick. Assemble. Let me see this. I don't think we've seen her assemble, have we? No holding back. Ooh, what we got here?
You did well.
Oh, it's this thing. Oh, she flexes on you.
If you want to take me down, you'll have to do better than that.
Damn. This character's sick. Of course you want Psylocke. Bro, I main Psylocke in Rivals. What do you expect? I main Blade and Psylocke. What do you expect me? Like, what? Why would I not want Psylocke? Oh, shit. No, that's sick. Let me look at her combos one more time. We gotta actually hurry up because I gotta do this Invincible sponsor. And we still have to look at a whole nother character. We have to look at Magneto. Ooh. Nah, setting up the portals in the air is so sick. See Magneto? I'm about to look at Magneto, don't worry. The fireball into the DP, combo off the DP. Nah, this character looks gas, bro. Nova. Yo, we do need Nova in this game. Star-Lord. I'm pretty sure in this beta, I'm going to play Blade, Magik, Star-Lord. They just tweeted this, funny enough. These are all the characters that are playable. I'm probably gonna play in this beta. My team is gonna be this. I don't know who I'm gonna put last though. It's either gonna be Iron Man, Magneto, or Doom, or maybe I don't know if I want to do Ghost Rider. I liked Ghost Rider. I played him last beta, but I didn't play a lot last beta. The first beta I played like probably like 20 plus hours, and in the second beta, the last beta that came down with no trading mode, I was pissed. So I was like, yeah, I'm only gonna play this for like an hour or two, which is what I did, and I got off the game. Instead, I went to just go watch Cloud play. Maybe I'll try Green Goblin. I don't know. We'll see. Nah, the install mid combo is sick. I love that on characters. That's always so sick. Bro, did the portal hit like 3 times? Because she put this portal deep in the sky. Look at this one. Look at that portal she put in the sky. So when she did the Hell Pillar, it went up. And I think it hit again to keep him in hit stun. Nah, this character's sick. All right, let's look at Magneto. Okay, I'm obviously clearly biased looking at hers for that long, but whatever. Let's look at this, and after that, we gotta hop on Invincible. Master of Magnetism. For my brethren.
I fight only to defend mutant kind.
Ooh, the fits. Nah, the Black Mag. Ooh, the Black Mag is crazy.
So to face me,
that Black Mag is crazy.
You must be its enemy.
All for my brethren.
You have nowhere left.
Is his team name. Numbers look okay. They don't look bad. Oh, is that advancing? Oh, snap. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, the buttons look like bison buttons. The animations look like bison animations too. Does he have an omnidirection? Oh, he does. Oh, wow. I mean, he could fly in this game, so I'm really surprised. I like how this theme is metal. I like the lyrics on this theme. Unrestricted, move on in the air for a limited amount of time.
Be wise.
This is not too late to flee. Manipulate and throw an object of the field with magnetism. Generate 1 cloud of debris on the field after the attack. Up to 3 clouds of debris can exist at a time. Inflict magnetize on the opponent after the enemy's hit. So this purple thing is magnetize. And after he hits someone with debris, it'll put debris at the background. This yellow debris or whatever. Wow. What's up, Ricky? Check general. I can't right now. I'm busy. So yeah, he can put three up at a time. Okay, that's good to know. Perform an attack enshrouding a magnetic energy. When held to maximum charge, inflict magnetize an opponent. When magnetize is active, certain skills behave differently, altering aspects such as trajectories and place of cloud debris on the field. Okay, it places debris on the field as well. Damn, I think like everything places it. Damn. Reverse midair for an attack. Cannot be canceled as normals. Ooh. After the attack, cloud of debris remain on the field. That thing comes out really fast too. And it looks fast as hell when it travels at you. Whoa, what is this? Magnetic blast. Wait, so he can hold it as well? Oh, whoa. I didn't know he could hold it. I thought only the little jab thing he was doing couldn't be held. So he can hold this. The more debris is present on the field, it's faster. Okay. The faster it charges when holding the input. Oh my god, you can block attacks with it? What? I didn't know that. Magneto will not be knocked back by projectiles or assist attacks during the default states where Magneto is active. Each cloud of floating breeze deals additional follow-up attack. Wow. Oh, look at that. It gave a bounce. Gravity bind. The hell is this? Oh, he has a command grab?
Your fate is sealed.
Oh, snap. That puts 3 down.
You cannot escape.
Restrain opponent magnetism before attacking. L and H versions can restrain grounded opponents, while medium versions can restrain aerial ones. Oh, he has an air command grab. He does the medium version. This deals heavy damage. The move deals heavier damage if debris is present. Okay. And it puts 3 down. Okay. It's a good thing that he can only put it down 3. That's a lot, though. How long does it last?
Darkness is coming.
Polarity shift.
Cannot resist.
Okay. This move works as an anti-air, gains invincibility midway through. Okay. Okay. Oh my god, look at that bounce. Converge triggers a break effect. Except when magnetize is active. Okay. Whoa, that move looks cool. Nah, Magneto looks sick in this game. God damn. I love the fact that he actually like throws debris and then he like uses it in the background and shit. That shit is sick. Damn. Look at that bounce. Look how big that bounce was. Yo. Oh man. You have so much time to follow up with that. Oh my god. Carnage. Okay. Nah, they cooked. They actually cooked. I like how this game actually has a lot of villains too, unlike Rivals. We don't have that much villains in Rivals. We need more, like 100%. Shrapnel spike. So it just pulls them. I saw Diphone use this at Evo. No, not Evo Japan. Evo NA. Like he did like a long ass combo with this. He pulled them and then he like shot metal at him and then he did like some crazy combo.
Nothing of me yet.
The assist. Assemble. Assist shooter. Get a breed. Remember supposed to be before immediately if this move hits the opponent. Cool.
Here's my aim.
If it hits. I don't know if it's blocked though.
A wise decision.
Oh man. Oh my god. Magnetize active the repro. Like what in the what? So much shit. It's supposed to be like a noob stomper. Because these noobs aren't gonna know like the magnetize and what each thing does.
When Magneto calls, the heavens answer.
The heavens answer. Does heavy damage if debris is present. Damn. While magnetize active, the rain debris will be drawn closer to the target's position. Wow.
I shall rain my righteous fury upon you.
Nah, this is a well done Magneto. Because you can easily just make it so he just throws and pushes metal and shit. But like the fact that he leaves debris and stuff and enhances some of his future skills is so sick. And he can like magnetize enemies and stuff. That shit is sick.
You have nowhere left to run.
Way better than BS MVC. I don't know what he's like in MVC.
I can bend you to my
Cause I didn't play it. But like, what is he just basic MVC? Or is he just like a basic zoner in that game?
The storm that is coming. One that not even you can control.
3 clouds of debris. I just noticed.
You have underestimated me.
Wait. So his just puts magnetize on the enemy afterwards. Okay.
Applaud your efforts.
Because some people's super is, well, their ults or whatever change some people's effects afterwards. Like Dr. Doom's portal is he's rushed down in that game. Oh yeah, he is. I saw the little loops he was doing. Some people's moves in those other games. Give me a second. They change their properties, as in like. Hold on. Dr. Doom, when he ults, his portal or his shield thing is stronger, and like what Star Lords can use like 3 different, or have 3 stocks in his elements and stuff. So, I guess with Magik and Magneto, theirs doesn't change that much. Okay. Combos are pretty cool. Way better than when they showed for Spider-Man and Star Lord. Oh my god. The combo wasn't over? Wait, what? The combo looked like it was over, but it wasn't.
I shall rain my righteous fury upon you.
Send him forward, metal, collide the metal, pull him back, and then you slam it down for a floor bounce. Oh my god, rolling twice. Sent him rolling twice. My Steam is hard. Oh man.
I strike now. For man and
The Sentinel. That's aura.
Humans have taken so much from
That's
mutant
aura.
kind. No more.
Nah, Magneto man's got to be like some of the coolest people, no? This character is so sick in this game. So well done.
Close your eyes. I shall make it swift.
His voice lines are hard too, bro. Oh snap. That low key makes me want to play him, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know who I'm gonna play in this beta, man, but we'll see. All right, let me plug my controller in. We gotta play some Invincible.